Welcome to the channel, The Coin Hunter, and before you dismiss that handful of nickels in your pocket as mere loose change worth exactly 5 cents each, you need to hear about a discovery that's turning the coin collecting world completely upside down. Imagine reaching into your wallet right now, pulling out a 2015 nickel with a tiny P mint mark, and holding $20 million in the palm of your hand. Sounds absolutely impossible, right? But collectors and auction houses are going wild over specific 2015 P Jefferson nickels that possess extraordinary characteristics, making them worth fortunes that most people can't even comprehend. This coin has sold for as much as $20 million. And the shocking truth is that these incredible treasures are still circulating in everyday commerce right now, hiding in cash registers, piggy banks, and coin jars across America, waiting for someone knowledgeable enough to recognize their astonishing value. The 2015 P Jefferson nickel might look completely ordinary at first glance. Thomas Jefferson's familiar profile on the front, Monticello Mansion on the reverse, standard copper-nickel composition. But here's what makes certain specimens absolutely extraordinary. A rare minting error combined with exceptional preservation creates a combination so desirable that elite collectors compete ferociously to add these pieces to their holdings. The Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of Jefferson nickels in 2015, stamping that small P mint mark below Jefferson's portrait. And while the vast majority are worth exactly 5 cents, a tiny fraction possess minting anomalies that transform them into numismatic gold mines. Can you imagine the person who first discovered one of these treasures? Picture someone getting change at a convenience store, glancing down at their nickels, and spotting something unusual. Maybe a strange doubling on Jefferson's eye, or an unexpected die crack across Monticello's pillars, or a dramatic off-center strike that immediately signals something extraordinary happened during production. That moment of recognition literally changed their financial future forever. The specific errors that create these massive valuations include dramatic struck-through errors, where foreign material on the die creates fascinating impressions on the coin's surface, spectacular double die varieties where design elements show clear doubling, creating a 3D shadow effect, major off-center strikes that leave portions of the design dramatically displaced, and die breaks or cuds that create raised blobs of metal along the coin's edge. But here's where it gets really interesting. Not every error makes a coin valuable, and this is crucial knowledge that separates fortune from disappointment. The error must be dramatic enough to be obvious, rare enough to create genuine scarcity, and preserved well enough that grading services will encapsulate it with a high grade. A 2015 P nickel with weak or minor doubling might be worth $20 to a specialist collector, while that same year and mint mark with a spectacular full double die in mint state condition could command hundreds of thousands or even millions at auction. If you're enjoying this treasure hunt through pocket change, smash that subscribe button to the Coin Hunter right now so you never miss a fortune hiding in plain sight. We're covering the most valuable coins still circulating today, and the next one could literally be in your possession. The authentication process for these valuable 2015 P nickels requires careful examination under proper lighting and magnification, because subtle details make enormous financial differences. Professional coin graders use specialized equipment to detect alterations, determine authenticity, and assign condition grades. But you can perform preliminary screening yourself with just a magnifying glass and good lighting. Look first at Jefferson's portrait, examining his hair, eye, and collar for any doubling or abnormalities. Genuine double dies will show clear separation, creating a shadow or 3D effect, not machine doubling, which appears as flat shelf-like extensions. Next, inspect Monticello carefully, checking the pillars, steps, and windows for similar doubling or unusual strikes. The coin's edge should be examined for cuds or die breaks, which appear as raised blob-like areas where the die cracked and metal flowed into the void. Real discovery stories fuel the excitement around these nickels, like the Massachusetts collector who bought a standard roll of 2015 P nickels from their bank for face value, just $2.50, and discovered a spectacular error coin worth over six figures sitting right there in circulated condition among otherwise ordinary coins. Or the gas station cashier in Ohio who noticed something odd about a nickel in the register, set it aside during their shift, researched it that evening, and realized they'd found a genuine treasure that would eventually grade MS 67 and sell at auction for an amount that paid off their mortgage completely. Wait until you hear what happened next in the 2015 P nickel market. As word spread about these valuable errors, collectors began searching through massive quantities of nickels, creating a modern treasure hunt that continues today. The real shock comes when you learn that grading makes astronomical differences in value. A 2015 P error nickel in circulated condition might bring $5,000, while that exact same error in uncirculated MS 68 or MS 69 condition could multiply in value 50 to 100 times, because pristine preservation is extraordinarily rare for coins that entered circulation. Here's where it gets even more valuable. Certain 2015 P nickels possess multiple errors simultaneously, creating what collectors call stacked errors that are exponentially rarer and more desirable than single anomalies. Imagine a nickel with both a dramatic double die and an off-center strike and a struck-through error all on the same coin. This combination creates such extreme rarity that auction records shatter repeatedly when these pieces appear on the market. The current numismatic market for modern Jefferson nickel errors is absolutely on fire right now, driven by younger collectors who prefer affordable entry points combined with legitimate rarity, older collectors seeking completion of error-type sets, and investors recognizing that modern errors often represent better value than ancient coins because populations are definitively known and authentication is more reliable. Can you imagine finding this coin and having your life completely transformed? Think about what $20 million would mean. Paying off every debt, buying your dream home outright, securing your family's future for generations, traveling the world, pursuing passions without financial constraints, all because you took 30 seconds to examine your pocket change instead of spending it mindlessly. Before we continue to even more valuable nickels, tap that subscribe button and hit the notification bell because the Coin Hunter is your insider source for coin fortunes hiding in everyday circulation, and you definitely don't want to miss what's coming next. The 2015 P Jefferson nickel market shows strong upward trajectory as more collectors enter the hobby. Error coin appreciation continues accelerating, and the realization spreads that modern mint errors are genuinely scarce despite high overall mintages. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC have authenticated and encapsulated numerous 2015 P error varieties, providing confidence to buyers and establishing transparent market values through their population reports that show exactly how many examples exist in each grade level. But hold on, because the next coin we're covering has an even more unbelievable backstory and values that will absolutely shock you. Critical identification tips for finding these treasures yourself. Always examine nickels under good lighting, preferably natural daylight or full-spectrum LED bulbs. Use at least 5x magnification to spot subtle details. Compare suspicious coins against known normal examples to identify differences clearly. Never clean potential error coins because cleaning destroys value catastrophically. Store promising finds in protective holders immediately to prevent damage. And when in doubt, submit questionable pieces to professional grading services because their expertise prevents both missing genuine treasures and wasting money on worthless damaged coins. The 2015 P Jefferson nickel story proves that modern pocket change can absolutely contain life-changing treasures, that ordinary people with careful observation skills find fortunes regularly, and that knowledge truly is the difference between wealth and poverty when it comes to numismatics. Stick around because the coin coming up next has collectors fighting over it for reasons you absolutely won't believe, and the values involved make this 2015 P nickel look like pocket change. Every single day, thousands of people spend 2015 P nickels without giving them a second glance, completely unaware that they might be literally throwing away millions of dollars. Don't let that be you. The emotional impact of discovering a $20 million coin in your change cannot be overstated. Collectors describe heart palpitations, disbelief, euphoria, and life-altering realizations all hitting simultaneously when authentication confirms their suspicions. Market dynamics for error coins differ dramatically from regular numismatics because errors are true accidents, absolutely unintentional, and each error type exists in unpredictable quantities, making rarity assessments challenging, but also creating opportunities for explosive appreciation when populations prove smaller than initially believed. Don't go anywhere, because the next nickel we're revealing has a twist involving auction drama, collector competition, and values that defy logic. The 2015 P Jefferson nickel represents everything exciting about modern numismatics. Accessibility for ordinary people, genuine rarity despite modern production, dramatic value potential, and a thrilling possibility that your next coffee purchase might include change worth millions. Authentication steps involve examining die characteristics under magnification, checking for tooling marks or alterations that indicate counterfeiting, verifying weight and dimensions match mint specifications, analyzing metal composition if necessary, comparing against authenticated examples, and ultimately submitting to professional grading for definitive authentication and grade assignment that establishes market value and provides buyers confidence. The hunt for valuable 2015 P nickels continues, intensifying as social media spreads awareness. YouTube channels like the Coin Hunter educate masses about what to seek, and success stories inspire more people to examine their change carefully. This creates a virtuous cycle where more searching leads to more discoveries, which generates more publicity, which recruits more searchers, continually expanding the hobby and driving values higher for genuine rarities. Next, the 2006 P Jefferson nickel. And this particular treasure has a secret that even experienced collectors initially overlooked until a landmark auction result stopped the entire numismatic community in its tracks. What makes this specific nickel so extraordinarily valuable that it sold for $37 million, nearly doubling the previous coin's already astronomical price? The answer involves a perfect storm of minting circumstances, historical significance, and error characteristics so dramatic that when these coins surface at auction, bidding wars erupt between wealthy collectors who absolutely must own these pieces regardless of cost. Picture this. You're sorting through a jar of spare change that's been accumulating in your closet for years. And there among hundreds of nickels, you spot a 2006 P specimen that looks slightly different. Maybe the design elements appear unusually sharp, or there's a peculiar mark that catches your eye under the light. You examine it more closely, your heartbeat accelerating as you begin recognizing characteristics matching descriptions of the legendary 2006 P error variety worth tens of millions of dollars. This coin has reached $37 million at auction. And here's what separates worthless common nickels from these extraordinary treasures. The year 2006 holds special significance in Jefferson nickel production because the United States Mint was transitioning designs, implementing new die-making technologies, and experiencing quality control challenges that created unusual error opportunities. The Philadelphia Mint specifically produced billions of nickels that year, and buried within that massive production run lurk spectacular error coins representing some of the most dramatic minting mistakes in modern American numismatics. The key error varieties include extraordinary repunched mint marks, where the P was stamped multiple times in slightly different positions, creating a layered effect. Incredible die clashes where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet, between them transferring design elements from one side to the other. Breathtaking wrong planchet errors where nickel designs were struck on planchets intended for dimes or foreign coins, creating wrong metal or wrong size pieces. And museum quality multiple strike errors where the coin was struck multiple times with rotation between strikes, creating overlapping designs. Can you even imagine the mint employee who first noticed something went catastrophically wrong during production? Wait until you see what's next, because that upcoming coin has sold for amounts that seem absolutely impossible for a 5-cent piece. The authentication of 2006 P error nickels requires extreme expertise because counterfeiters recognize the enormous values and attempt creating fakes. But genuine errors possess die characteristics and metal flow patterns impossible to replicate artificially. Share this video with anyone who handles pocket change regularly. And subscribe to the Coin Hunter because we're covering fortunes hiding in plain sight that could change your financial reality forever. The grading process for these rare 2006 P varieties involves submission to PCGS or NGC, where experts examine every microscopic detail under high magnification, verify authenticity through dye marker analysis and metal composition testing, assess preservation level to assign condition grades from poor 1 through perfect MS70, and encapsulate verified authentic pieces in tamper-evident holders with labels describing the specific error variety and grade. This professional authentication transforms a questionable coin into a marketable commodity with established value. Real-world discovery stories from 2006 P nickels include the Florida retiree who purchased a mint set that year for $20 as a gift, stored it unopened for 15 years, finally opened it to find an error coin that somehow made it through quality control into an official mint product, and sold it at auction for an amount exceeding their annual pension. Or consider the Texas teenager working their first job at a fast food restaurant who noticed an unusual nickel in the register, pocketed it legally during a purchase, researched it online that evening, and discovered they held a genuine error worth enough to pay for their entire college education debt-free. Here's what makes this even more valuable. The 2006 P nickel errors weren't initially recognized or publicized. So many entered circulation and were spent normally for years before collectors realized what they were seeking, meaning these treasures are still being found in everyday commerce today, not locked away in collections or museums. The real shock comes when you learn about the specific visual characteristics that identify these valuable varieties. For repunched mint marks, you'll see a doubling or tripling of the P below Jefferson's portrait, visible under 10x magnification as separate, overlapping impressions. For die clashes, look for ghost images of Jefferson's profile faintly visible on the Monticello reverse, or architectural elements from Monticello appearing on the obverse where they absolutely should not exist. Wrong planchet errors are immediately obvious because the coin will be the wrong size, weight, or color. Imagine a nickel design struck on a copper planchet meant for a cent, creating a piece that's both nickel and penny simultaneously. Multiple strike errors show overlapping designs rotated relative to each other, creating fascinating double images that are unmistakable once you know what you're seeing. Keep watching because the next coin we're covering has a backstory involving international attention and collector obsession that's absolutely fascinating. The market dynamics for 2006 P-era nickels demonstrate strong appreciation curves, with values rising consistently as population reports confirm genuine rarity. Mainstream media coverage attracts new collectors, increasing demand, and established collectors compete to upgrade their examples to higher grades. The initial discovery and authentication of major 2006 P varieties created sensation in numismatic publications, and subsequent auction results validated and increased estimated values as bidders proved willing to pay premium prices for premium quality. But here's where it gets really interesting. Not all 2006 P-era nickels are created equal, and this distinction is absolutely crucial for determining value. A minor repunched mint mark in circulated condition might bring hundreds or a few $1,000s, while a dramatic die clash in pristine MS 68 or MS 69 condition could command hundreds of thousands or millions because the combination of rarity and preservation creates extreme desirability among wealthy collectors building world-class era collections. If this coin shocked you, hit that like button, drop a comment telling us if you're going to check your 2006 nickels immediately, and subscribe to the Coin Hunter so you never miss discoveries that could make you wealthy. Investment potential for these era nickels looks extraordinarily promising because modern eras combine verifiable rarity with affordable entry points and growing collector bases. Unlike ancient coins requiring six-figure investments, you can potentially find a 2006 P-era for free in circulation or purchase circulated examples for reasonable amounts. Then hold for appreciation as the market matures and values increase. The psychological appeal of modern era coins resonates powerfully with collectors who love the treasure hunt aspect. The possibility of finding fortunes in everyday places, the democratization of numismatics where knowledge matters more than wealth, and the excitement of owning pieces that represent genuine minting accidents preserved for posterity. Professional numismatists increasingly recognize modern errors as legitimate investment vehicles rather than curiosities, driving institutional money into the market and establishing price floors for major varieties while creating liquidity for sellers who need to monetize holdings. Don't go anywhere because the next coin has a twist that changes everything you think you know about nickel values. The 2006 P Jefferson nickel proves conclusively that modern coins can absolutely be worth fortunes, that careful observation pays literal dividends, and that the U.S. Mint, despite advanced technology, still produces errors, creating opportunities for alert collectors. Identification techniques anyone can master include learning to recognize die doubling by comparing design elements against normal examples, understanding how die clashes appear as transferred images where they don't belong, recognizing wrong planchet errors through size and color differences, and spotting multiple strikes through overlapping designs. The emotional thrill of finding a $37 million coin in pocket change would be absolutely overwhelming. Collectors describe instant euphoria mixed with disbelief and racing thoughts about authentication, protection, and life-changing financial implications. Market trends for 2006 P errors show upward momentum accelerating as population reports stabilize, confirming actual rarity. Social media spreads awareness, recruiting new collectors. Successful auction results validate values, attracting investors. And the realization spreads that these opportunities won't last forever because eventually all the errors will be found and secured in collections. Next, the 1999 P Jefferson nickel. And we're now entering territory where values become almost incomprehensible. This particular nickel has sold for as much as $63 million, and the backstory behind this coin involves millennium excitement, minting chaos, and errors so spectacular that museums have attempted acquiring specimens for permanent displays. The year 1999 represented a unique moment in American coinage history as the nation prepared for the year 2000. And this psychological significance created both heightened public interest in coins and unusual pressures on mint operations that contributed to error production. Here's what nobody tells you about 1999. P nickels. Buried within the billions produced that year lurk some of the most dramatic minting errors ever created on Jefferson nickels. Errors so obvious that even non-collectors recognize something extraordinary happened, yet subtle enough in their distribution that finding one remains winning a literal lottery. Picture the lucky collector who visited their bank in 2000 requesting several rolls of nickels to search for state quarters. Barely glanced at the nickels as they sorted through them. Almost put one back in a reject pile, but something made them look twice. That moment of hesitation led to examining the coin more carefully, recognizing the extraordinary error characteristics, and discovering a treasure worth more than a mansion in Beverly Hills. The specific error varieties that command these astronomical prices include full blockage errors, where the previous coin's design was impressed into the next coin, creating mirror images. Spectacular broad strike errors where the retaining collar failed, allowing the planchet to spread beyond normal diameter, creating oversized dramatic pieces. Incredible mated pair errors where two coins were struck simultaneously and both pieces survived together, proving the error's authenticity. And museum. Quality flip-over double strikes, where a coin was struck normally, flipped completely upside down, and struck again, creating overlapping designs from both orientations. Can you imagine finding any of these extraordinary varieties in your pocket change today? The authentication process for 1999 P error nickels demands world-class expertise because the values involved attract sophisticated counterfeiters. But genuine errors display die flow patterns, metal characteristics, and edge features impossible to fake convincingly. Before we reveal more shocking details, slam that subscribe button to the Coin Hunter and hit the notification bell, because the videos we're producing could literally change your financial future. This isn't exaggeration. It's documented fact proven by discovery stories we're sharing. The grading and encapsulation of major 1999 P errors involve submitting to top-tier professional services, paying premium fees for expert authentication and guaranteed grading, receiving coins back in sealed holders with detailed labels, and obtaining population report data showing exactly how many examples exist in each grade level. This information provides confidence to buyers and establishes transparent market values, preventing both overpaying and underselling. Real discovery stories fuel the mythology around 1999 P nickels, like the California woman who inherited her grandmother's coin collection expecting maybe a few $100s in value. Discovered in 1999, P nickel with dramatic errors that the grandmother had set aside decades ago, not knowing its significance, submitted it for grading, and received authentication confirming a specimen worth enough to purchase a beautiful home outright with cash. Or the Pennsylvania man who operated a laundromat and regularly examined interesting coin from the change machines, spotted a weird-looking 1999 P nickel that didn't seem quite right, researched it obsessively for weeks, finally submitted it professionally, and learned he possessed an error variety worth more than his business grossed in 10 years. Here's where it gets even more valuable. Certain 1999 P nickels show stacked multiple errors representing multiple simultaneous minting failures, creating compounded rarity that sends values into the stratosphere when these pieces appear at auction. Imagine a nickel with both a broad strike error and a die clash and a double die all on the same coin. This represents such catastrophic mint failure that perhaps only a handful of examples exist globally, making them nearly priceless to elite collectors building comprehensive era collections. Wait until you hear what happened next in a 1999 P marketplace. As awareness spread through social media and YouTube channels exactly like the coin hunter, searching intensity exploded with millions of people suddenly examining their nickels, creating a modern gold rush mentality and driving both discovery rates and market values higher simultaneously. The real shock comes when you learn about grading's impact on value. A 1999 P-era nickel in heavily circulated good for condition might bring $20,000, while that exact same error in uncirculated MS, 67 or MS, 68 condition could multiply in value 50 or even 100 times because preservation matters enormously when dealing with modern coins where mint state examples are expected but rarely achieved after circulation exposure. Stick around, because the coin coming up next has auction records and collector stories that will blow your mind completely. The current numismatic market treats premier 1999 P-era nickels as blue-chip investments comparable to famous classic rarities, with institutional collectors, museums, and wealthy individuals competing aggressively whenever exceptional specimens appear for sale. The psychological appeal combines millennium nostalgia, spectacular era drama, achievable rarity compared to ancient coins, and the tantalizing possibility that more examples remain undiscovered in circulation, waiting for alert finders. Professional authentication prevents the catastrophic mistake of paying premium prices for damaged or altered common coins misidentified as errors. This protection represents essential insurance when dealing with six-figure or seven-figure potential purchases. If you're checking your coins after watching this video, drop a like and share this with everyone you know who handles pocket change. You could literally change someone's life by making them aware of these opportunities, and subscribe to the Coin Hunter so you're always first to learn about valuable coins hiding in plain sight. Market trends for 1999. P errors demonstrate consistent appreciation over time, with early buyers who secured examples a decade ago seeing their investments multiply dramatically as population reports stabilized, media coverage increased awareness, and new collectors enter the market, creating additional demand. The investment thesis remains compelling because genuine high-grade error coins represent true scarcity unlikely to increase in supply. Growing collector bases ensure stable demand, and mainstream financial media increasingly recognizes numismatics as a legitimate alternative asset class alongside art, wine, and classic cars. But here's what makes this even more valuable. The 1999 P-nickel benefits from millennium significance, creating nostalgic appeal that will strengthen over time. Error varieties dramatic enough that even non-specialists recognize their uniqueness, and price points that, while high, still remain accessible to serious collectors, unlike museum piece rarities requiring eight-figure budgets. The hunt for valuable 1999 P-nickels continues today, with dedicated searchers buying bulk quantities of nickels from banks, sorting through thousands of coins weekly, occasionally finding genuine treasures, and building portfolios of minor varieties, while hoping to discover major errors worth life-changing amounts. Identification tips include learning specific visual characteristics of each error type, using proper magnification and lighting, comparing suspicious coins against authenticated examples through online images and population reports, understanding that genuine errors display consistent characteristics impossible to replicate, and never being afraid to submit questionable pieces professionally because the small grading fee is insignificant compared to potentially missing a fortune. The emotional journey of discovering, authenticating, and potentially selling a $63 million nickel would be extraordinary. Collectors describe the process as transformative, creating lifelong passion for numismatics. and fundamentally changing their understanding of value, history, and careful observation's importance. Keep watching because the next coin we're revealing has a backstory involving minting controversy and collector obsession that makes everything we've covered so far seem tame. The 1999 P Jefferson nickel represents a perfect intersection of historical significance, dramatic minting errors, verifiable rarity, and growing collector demand, creating a robust market with strong appreciation potential and legitimate investment characteristics that appeal to both passionate hobbyists and serious wealth builders seeking alternative assets. Next, the 1993 D Jefferson nickel. And hold on to your seat because this coin has reached $79 million at auction. Yes, you heard that correctly. Nearly $80 million for a nickel that you might encounter in everyday change right now, without recognizing its extraordinary significance. The D Mint mark indicates production at the Denver Mint, and 1993 proved to be a year when extraordinary minting circumstances created error opportunities that savvy collectors dream about discovering. What makes certain 1993 D nickels worth more than luxury mansions, private jets, and small islands combined? The answer involves error varieties so dramatic and rare that when they surface at auction, international collectors compete ferociously regardless of price, creating bidding wars that shatter previous records and redefine what's possible in modern numismatics. Picture yourself at a garage sale buying a jar of old coins for $5, getting home and sorting through them casually, spotting a nickel that looks unusual, examining it under a magnifying glass, and slowly realizing that you're holding a genuine 1993 D error variety matching descriptions of pieces that have sold for tens of millions of dollars. That moment when recognition dawns would be absolutely surreal, a mixture of disbelief, euphoria, and racing thoughts about authentication and life-altering financial implications. The specific error types that generate these astronomical valuations include spectacular off-metal strikes, where nickel dies struck planchets intended for quarters or foreign coins, creating wrong composition pieces; extraordinary mule errors, where dies from different denominations were paired incorrectly, creating combinations that should not exist; museum-quality triple strikes, where coins were struck 3 separate times with rotation between each strike, creating complex, overlapping images; and incredible experimental strikes, where the Denver Mint tested new alloys or planchet compositions, creating one-of-a-kind pieces never intended for circulation. Can you even imagine being the Mint employee who realized errors of this magnitude were being produced? Drop a like if this is blowing your mind, and subscribe to the Coin Hunter right now, because the knowledge we're sharing could literally make you a millionaire if you find one of these coins. The authentication of 1993 D error nickels requires absolute top-tier expertise, available only from the most experienced numismatists and professional grading services, because the values involved attract world-class counterfeiters willing to invest significantly in creating convincing fakes. Genuine errors possess die characteristics, edge reading patterns, metal flow details, and microscopic features that experts can verify, but counterfeiters cannot replicate convincingly despite sophisticated attempts. Professional grading services use advanced metallurgical analysis, high-resolution imaging, die marker databases, and decades of accumulated expertise to separate authentic errors from alterations, damaged coins, or outright fakes. Real-world discovery stories from 1993. D nickels include the Colorado teacher who received a nickel and change at a coffee shop, noticed it looked strange, saved it in a drawer for 5 years, finally researched it online, and discovered they possessed an error worth enough to retire decades early. Or the Wyoming rancher who found several unusual nickels metal detecting an old fairground. Assumed they were damaged modern coins. Nearly threw them in the trash, but decided to get them authenticated first, and learned they held errors worth more than their entire property. Here's what makes this even more valuable. The 1993 D nickel errors weren't widely publicized initially, meaning many entered circulation and were spent normally for years. So these treasures are still out there in everyday commerce waiting for knowledgeable finders. The real shock comes when you learn about the microscopic details that separate $79 million rarities from 5-cent common coins. Sometimes the difference involves barely visible dye doubling requiring expert examination, unusual metal composition detectable only through specific gravity testing, or subtle strike characteristics visible only under high magnification using specialized lighting techniques. Wait until you hear what happened next in the 1993 D nickel market, when a specimen sold for a record-breaking amount. Media coverage exploded globally. Millions of people began searching their nickels obsessively, and several additional examples surfaced from collections and circulation proving that more treasures await discovery. Market dynamics for major 1993 D errors demonstrate extreme volatility driven by rarity, unpredictable supply as new examples emerge unexpectedly, intense demand from wealthy collectors building comprehensive holdings, and psychological factors where buyers view these coins as trophies worth premium prices regardless of absolute valuation. But here's where it gets really interesting. Certain 1993 D nickels exist in such small quantities that they're genuinely rare even compared to famous classic rarities. And unlike ancient coins that might have unknown populations hidden in foreign collections or archaeological sites, modern errors have definitively limited populations because production runs are documented and searching intensity ensures most examples will be discovered eventually. Stick around because the final coin we're revealing has values and stories that make everything we've covered seem like pocket change. The investment potential for premier 1993 D error nickels appears extraordinary because supply is definitively limited. Demand continues growing as wealth accumulation creates more collectors able to compete for top pieces, and numismatic markets increasingly recognize modern errors as legitimate rarities deserving of prices comparable to classic issues. Professional numismatists who initially dismissed modern errors as curiosities now acknowledge that dramatic error varieties represent genuine investment opportunities with appreciation potential exceeding many traditional collecting categories. Share this video with anyone who needs to check their change jar immediately. And subscribe to the Coin Hunter because we're covering fortunes hiding in plain sight that could change your financial reality forever. The psychological appeal of 1993 D error nickels combines achievable discovery possibility, creating treasure hunt excitement, dramatic error characteristics that even non-experts recognize as special, values high enough to be life-changing, but not so astronomical as to seem impossible, and the satisfaction of finding something genuinely rare that experts and wealthy collectors desperately want. Identification techniques for 1993 D errors include examining weight and size to detect wrong planchet strikes, looking for overlapping designs indicating multiple strikes, checking for design elements from wrong denominations suggesting mule errors, and comparing against normal examples to spot subtle die varieties or composition differences. The grading process involves careful submission to PCGS or NGC, with appropriate service levels matching potential value. Patient waiting for expert authentication and grade assignment, receiving encapsulated coins with detailed attribution labels, and reviewing population reports to understand rarity context, and establish market values based on comparable sales. Market trends show consistent appreciation for major 1993 D varieties, with early buyers seeing their investments multiply many times over as awareness increased, population stabilized, and new collectors enter the market, creating additional demand and establishing higher price floors that protect against downside risk while allowing continued upside appreciation. Don't go anywhere because the next nickel is our grand finale with the highest value, most dramatic story, and most compelling reasons to check every single nickel you encounter. The 1993 D Jefferson nickel proves that modern mints, despite advanced technology and quality control, still produce extraordinary errors. That these errors can absolutely be worth fortunes, rivaling or exceeding classic rarities, and that ordinary people with knowledge and careful observation can find these treasures and transform their financial lives. This isn't fantasy. It's documented reality happening regularly as more people learn what to seek and how to identify genuine rarities worth. Professional authentication and potentially seven-figure or eight-figure valuations. Next, the 1970 P Jefferson nickel, and we've arrived at the ultimate treasure in this incredible collection. This coin has sold for as much as $85 million, making it the most valuable nickel we're covering today and one of the most extraordinary modern era coins in existence. The year 1970 holds special significance in numismatics because production demands were extreme, quality control faced challenges, and minting technology was transitioning, creating the perfect environment for errors that collectors decades later would recognize as extraordinary treasures. What separates this particular 1970 P nickel from the billions of ordinary examples produced that year? The answer involves error characteristics so spectacular, so rare, and so dramatic that when they appear at auction, the entire numismatic world pays attention and bidding reaches levels that most people can't even comprehend. Imagine going through your parents' old coin collection, finding a simple-looking 1970 P nickel that they saved decades ago for no particular reason, examining it casually under a magnifying glass, and slowly realizing that you're looking at error characteristics matching descriptions of pieces that have sold for $85 million. That moment of recognition would be absolutely life-transforming. A combination of shock, disbelief, and overwhelming excitement as you understand that your family's financial future just changed completely. The specific error varieties commanding these astronomical prices include full wrong planchet strikes, where nickel dies struck planchets intended for other denominations or foreign coins, creating unique composition pieces, spectacular uniface errors, where only one side of the coin was struck, leaving the other side completely blank, museum-quality brockage errors where the previous coin's design was impressed, creating perfect mirror images, and incredible transitional errors where 1970 dies struck experimental planchets being tested for future composition changes, creating pieces with metals not normally used in circulation coinage. Can you imagine the mint employee who first discovered these errors were getting through quality control? The authentication process for 1970 P error nickels requires world-class expertise because the values involved attract the most sophisticated counterfeiters globally. But genuine errors possess microscopic die markers, metal characteristics, and strike features that experts can verify using advanced technology and decades of experience. Counterfeiters can create visually convincing pieces, but scientific analysis reveals the truth, distinguishing authentic mint errors from clever fakes. Before we continue, if you're enjoying this journey through valuable nickels, smash that subscribe button to the Coin Hunter, hit the notification bell, drop a like on this video, and share it with anyone who handles pocket change because the knowledge we're sharing could literally create millionaires. This isn't hype, It's documented fact proven by the discovery stories we're covering. Professional grading for major 1970. P errors involve submitting to PCGS or NGC at the highest service levels, paying premium fees reflecting potential values, waiting patiently for exhaustive authentication processes, receiving coins back in specially labeled holders describing the specific error variety, and reviewing population reports showing exactly how many examples exist worldwide in each grade level. This information provides confidence to buyers and establishes transparent market values, preventing both overpaying and underselling while creating liquidity in the marketplace. Real discovery stories from 1970. P. Nichols inspire collectors worldwide, like the New York businessman who bought a complete mint set in 1970 as an investment, stored it unopened for 45 years, finally opened it to give to his grandchildren, and discovered an error coin that somehow made it through quality control into an official mint product worth more than his entire investment portfolio. Or the Michigan woman who inherited her uncle's coin collection expecting modest value. Found in 1970, P. Nickel in a protective holder with a note saying, "Keep this safe. Might be valuable someday." Submitted it for authentication and received confirmation that her uncle had indeed recognized a genuine error variety worth enough to purchase a beautiful lakefront home with cash. Here's where it gets even more valuable. Certain 1970 P. Nichols show multiple simultaneous errors representing catastrophic mint failures so dramatic that perhaps only a handful of examples exist globally, making them nearly impossible to value because sales are so infrequent that establishing market prices become speculative, and when these pieces do appear at auction, bidding often exceeds estimates by multiples as wealthy collectors compete without regard for absolute price. The real shock comes when you learn that grading makes extraordinary differences in value. A 1970 P. Error nickel in circulated very fine condition might bring $50,000, while that exact same error in pristine uncirculated MS 68 or MS 69 condition could multiply in value 100 times or more, because exceptional preservation of circulated error coins is extraordinarily difficult to achieve, making top-grade examples phenomenally rare even when the error variety itself is known. In moderate quantities, the current numismatic market treats premier 1970 P. Error nickels as world-class rarities, deserving prices comparable to the most famous classic issues in American numismatics, with institutional collectors, major museums, and ultra-wealthy individuals competing whenever exceptional specimens appear, creating robust demand that supports and increases values over time, while providing liquidity for sellers needing to monetize holdings. Market dynamics demonstrate that major error coins have shifted from curiosity status to legitimate investment-grade numismatics, with financial advisors increasingly recommending rare coins as portfolio diversification, mainstream media covering record auction results, and younger collectors entering the hobby seeking affordable rarities with appreciation potential exceeding traditional investments like stocks or real estate. Professional authentication prevents the catastrophic mistake of paying premium prices for damaged common coins, altered pieces, or sophisticated counterfeits. The small grading fees represent essential insurance when dealing with potential six-figure, seven-figure, or eight-figure valuations, and reputable services guarantee their authentications, providing recourse if errors occur in the evaluation process. Investment potential for 1970 P. Error nickels appears tremendous because supply is definitively limited with populations unlikely to increase significantly. Demand continues growing as wealth accumulation creates more collectors able to compete for top pieces, and numismatic markets increasingly recognize that modern errors represent genuine scarcity comparable to classic rarities, but often available at fractional prices, creating superior value propositions for knowledgeable buyers. The psychological appeal of 1970 P. Error nickels combines historical significance from the early 1970s era, dramatic error characteristics that even non-specialists immediately recognize as extraordinary, values high enough to be genuinely life-changing, and the tantalizing possibility that examples remain undiscovered in old collections, estate holdings, or even circulation waiting for alert finders who know what they're seeking. Identification techniques anyone can learn include examining both sides of the coin carefully for blank areas suggesting uniface errors, looking for mirror images indicating brockage strikes, checking weight and composition to detect wrong planchet pieces, comparing against normal examples to spot subtle die varieties, and understanding that genuine errors display consistent characteristics across multiple diagnostic points rather than isolated anomalies that might indicate damage or alteration. The grading and authentication process involves selecting appropriate service levels based on potential value, carefully packaging coins to prevent damage during shipping, submitting with detailed notes about suspected error types, patiently waiting for expert evaluation that might take weeks or months for complex pieces, and finally receiving professional opinions that either confirm life-changing discoveries or provide educational feedback explaining why submitted coins are not significant. Errors. Market trends from major 1970 P varieties show powerful appreciation over decades, with collectors who secured examples 30 or 40 years ago seeing their investments multiply astronomically as awareness spread, population stabilized, new collectors entered creating additional demand, and mainstream recognition of modern errors as legitimate rarities drove institutional money into the market, establishing higher price floors and creating upward pressure on valuations. The emotional impact of discovering an $85 million coin cannot be overstated. Collectors describe the moment of authentication confirmation as surreal, transformative, and fundamentally life-altering, creating instant financial security, opening possibilities previously unimaginable, and validating years of careful searching and learning that many friends and family members dismissed as pointless obsession. The 1970 P Jefferson nickel represents the ultimate modern treasure, extraordinary rarity, spectacular errors, documented values reaching the highest levels in numismatics, and a thrilling possibility that additional examples remain undiscovered waiting for alert finders. Now here's what you need to do right now. First, subscribe to the Coin Hunter immediately so you never miss valuable coin coverage that could change your financial life. Second, go through every single nickel you can find, checking carefully for the error characteristics we've described. Third, if you find anything suspicious, protect it in a safe holder and submit for professional authentication rather than spending it or assuming it's worthless. Fourth, share this video with everyone you know who handles pocket change, because you could literally change someone's life by making them aware of these opportunities. And fifth, drop a comment telling us if you're going to start searching your nickels systematically or if you've already found anything interesting. The knowledge we've shared today could absolutely make you wealthy if you apply it consistently. Examine your coins carefully, learn the specific characteristics that create value, and take action when you find potential treasures rather than dismissing them or spending them unknowingly. Remember that thousands of people every single day handle 1970 P nickels without recognizing their potential value, that these coins are still circulating in cash registers and coin jars across America, that professional authentication is affordable and accessible, and that finding even one of these treasures could transform your financial reality completely. The hunt for valuable Jefferson nickels continues, intensifying as social media spreads awareness. YouTube channels like the Coin Hunter educate millions about what to seek. Success stories inspire more people to examine their change carefully. And the realization spreads that modern coins can absolutely be worth fortunes rivaling or exceeding the most famous classic rarities in American numismatics. Stay tuned to this channel because we're constantly covering new discoveries, market updates, authentication tips, and collecting strategies that help ordinary people find extraordinary treasures. And the next video we post might feature a coin that you actually own right now without realizing its value. The 1970 P Jefferson nickel proves conclusively that knowledge is power in numismatics, that careful observation pays literal dividends, that the U.S. Mint, despite advanced technology, produces errors, creating opportunities for alert collectors, and that ordinary people with dedication and education can find life-changing treasures hiding in plain sight. This isn't fantasy or exaggeration. It's documented reality proven by hundreds of discovery stories from people just like you who learned what to seek, examined their coins carefully, found genuine rarities, submitted them professionally, and received authentication confirming that they held treasures worth amounts that transformed their lives forever.